Marcus and Elena had been married for 8 long years. They were never rich, and they certainly were not perfect. But Elena was the steady anchor in Marcus's turbulent sea. When he had nothing, she was there. When he lost his job, she worked grueling double shifts without a single complaint. When his father passed away, she was the only thing holding his broken pieces together. She believed in his business dreams when even he wanted to quit. She was his foundation, his partner, and his greatest advocate. But as the money finally started to flow and success arrived, Marcus began to change. The validation from strangers began to taste sweeter than the quiet peace of his own home. He forgot that the woman standing beside him had earned a version of him that he was now beginning to give away to others. The tragedy was already in motion before he even realized he was drifting away from the shore. Success brought more than just money. It brought attention. Messages from unknown women, late-night outings, and constant compliments started to feed his ego. One evening, after a bitter argument with Elena about how distant he had become, Marcus stormed out, fueled by a toxic mix of anger and entitlement. Instead of cooling off or heading home to apologize, he made a choice. He called another woman. That night, in a moment of weakness he once thought impossible, Marcus crossed a line he had promised he would never cross. The next morning, sitting alone in his car, he stared at his wedding ring. The weight of it felt like lead. Guilt began to eat him alive immediately, but fear was stronger than his conscience. Instead of confessing and seeking a way back, he chose the cowardice of silence, unaware that silence is the fastest way to poison a marriage from the inside out. Elena noticed the change instantly. You cannot hide a shift in the soul from the person who knows you best. She felt the coldness, the sudden distance, and the way his eyes avoided hers during dinner. "Marcus, is there something you are hiding from me?" she asked one night, her voice trembling with a suspicion she didn't want to confirm. Marcus forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes and whispered, "No," but deep down, the lie felt like a physical rot. He tried to overcompensate with expensive gifts and sudden dates, pretending everything was normal. But guilt changes a man. He became defensive, impatient, and emotionally absent. He was physically present in the house, but his spirit was miles away, guarding a secret that was slowly killing the woman he claimed to love. Then came the afternoon that changed everything. Elena found a message on his phone. It was just one message, but it was enough to shatter 8 years of history in 8 seconds. Her hands began to shake violently, the phone nearly slipping from her grasp. When Marcus walked into the room and saw her holding it, time seemed to stop. He froze, his blood turning to ice as he realized the facade had finally crumbled. "What did I do to deserve this?" she asked softly. Her voice wasn't loud. It was broken. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at him, not with anger, but with a profound, soul-crushing disappointment. Marcus opened his mouth to explain, to lie, to defend, but no words came out. There was no excuse for betraying a loyalty that had been so absolute. That night, Marcus watched his wife cry harder than he had ever seen a human being cry. It wasn't just because another woman existed. It was because the one person she trusted most in this world had intentionally broken her heart. In that moment of absolute devastation, Marcus finally understood the true cost of his actions. Cheating doesn't just end a relationship. It destroys the victim's sense of safety and their belief in their own worth. It turns precious memories into weapons of pain. He watched her collapse under the weight of his choices, and for the first time, he didn't see himself as a successful man who made a mistake. He saw himself as the architect of her agony. The silence in the room was louder than any scream, filled with the debris of a trust that might never be put back together. He realized that while his mistake was temporary, the scars he had carved into her heart were deep, jagged, and permanent. Months later, they began counseling. Not because the pain had vanished, but because Marcus finally stopped making excuses and started taking responsibility. He cut off every distraction and became transparent, spending every waking hour trying to rebuild the bridge he burned. But Elena said something he would never forget. "I may forgive you one day, but I will never forget how this pain felt." That sentence changed him forever. He realized that some people think cheating is just a moment, but the damage lives inside the other person for years. The greatest regret in life is realizing you have destroyed the person who would have done anything for you.